A stranger found in the underbrush. A creature unlike any suburban pet you've ever imagined. Discover how one unexpected rescue uncovers a secret that will leave you questioning life's ordinary encounters. Have you ever rescued an animal, only to realize it wasn't what you thought it was? Today, we unravel a story of unexpected discovery. Before diving into the story, I have something special to announce. During this video, I'll reveal a magic word. If you comment with that word, you'll enter our contest to win exclusive prizes every week. Stay with us and watch closely for the hidden word. A man thought he had saved a puppy, but when he took it to the vet, he was astonished by the animal's real nature. You think you know the truth about Luke's puppy? Stay until the end to find out a secret so astonishing it'll leave you questioning everything. Utilizing his jacket as an improvised umbrella, Luke rushed from his car and dashed toward his front door. What would you do if a tiny, helpless creature appeared on your doorstep during a storm? Would you let it in, or would you hesitate? A soft whimper unexpectedly drew his attention, causing him to halt in place. Despite the continuous rain, his curiosity drove him to explore. He traced the noise, his sneakers squelching on the damp grass at the boundary of his land. The magical word for today is storm. Write it in the comments to join our weekly contest and help raise awareness for animal rescues. Concealed among the shrubs, he discovered a small quivering shape. The being was huddled beneath a rhododendron, soaked and trembling without cease. As Luke moved closer with caution, he noticed its disheveled, knotted fur and the tiny, frightened eyes looking up at him. Thinking it was a lost puppy, he felt his heart soften at the view. He started to speak gently, employing soothing phrases to invite the small being to approach, providing comfort and security. Share this video with 3 friends who love animals. Let's spread the magic of these incredible stories. Motivated by its need for assistance, the creature carefully approached Luke's extended hand. He gathered it up, folded it in his jacket, and rushed indoors. The home was inviting, infused with the natural aroma of wet timber and the soft melodies of jazz that Luke consistently played for his plants. He placed the creature on a soft towel beside the fireplace, drying it off while inspecting it more closely. At that moment, he observed the unusual length of its ears and the strange markings on its coat, which didn't seem to match any dog breed he recognized. Luke's curiosity deepened while he warmed some milk and chicken, which the entity eagerly consumed. His first assumption that it was an ordinary puppy faded as he noticed its keen, wary looks and an unsettling silence that seemed out of place for a young dog's typically lively behavior. Positioned near the fire, Luke observed as the creature coiled up and dozed off. Ideas flashed in his mind regarding its origin and the reason for its solitude. He resolved to take it to the vet the next day for an examination and to check for a microchip, wishing to reunite it with its owners if it was lost. Yet for this evening, he would provide safety and warmth to this puzzling little visitor, whose appearance felt as abrupt and intense as the storm. When the weekend broke bright and sunny, standing in stark contrast to the tumultuous chaos of their initial meeting, Luke became more fascinated by his new mysterious friend. It was Saturday morning, and Luke finished his typical weekend activities. An invigorating hike in the Blue Ridge Mountains, the fresh morning air uplifting his mood, followed by a substantial breakfast. He relished this tranquil beginning, the uncomplicated routines anchoring him. Today, though, he also had the extra responsibility of getting his new companion ready for a trip to the veterinarian. Luke tried to uplift the atmosphere with a fresh stuffed animal and some joking comments, but Storm seemed oddly unresponsive, its eyes wandering to the window, captivated by the scene beyond. Luke couldn't shake off a blend of worry and confusion. Why wasn't Storm behaving like an ordinary puppy? His thoughts swirled with options, yet he dismissed the discomfort, blaming it on the creature's ambiguous beginnings and recent disturbances. Harnessing a temporary leash, Luke placed Storm in his car and drove to the nearby veterinary clinic, optimistic that Dr. Sophia Ellis would offer some insight. When they arrived, the receptionist welcomed them with a kind smile, but soon notified them that Dr. Sophia was unexpectedly unavailable because of a family emergency. Coincidence? Or does fate have its way of keeping secrets hidden a little longer? The only services offered that day were standard vaccinations and flea treatments, none of which appeared relevant to Luke's specific circumstances. He received notice that Dr. Peterson would take over for Dr. Sophia beginning next week. While driving home, Luke's thoughts were filled with the day's interrupted schedule and the strange actions of his recent friend. The being seemed strangely at ease to be back, sitting quietly in the back seat of the vehicle. Occasionally, its eyes locked with Luke's in the rearview mirror, conveying a mysterious, inscrutable look. As their time together settled into a routine, Luke's first evaluation of the creature's oddities evolved into an expanding list of irregularities. He called it Storm, a reference to its watchful demeanor. Every morning, while Luke made his coffee and got ready for the day, Storm would walk back and forth in the living room with careful, nearly calculated strides. It overlooked the squeaky toys and chew bones that Luke had bought on their trip from the vet clinic, instead focusing intently on the activity outside the window, with a vigilance more appropriate for a sentinel than a house pet. The nights felt even more uneasy. Storm would settle at the edge of Luke's bed, gazing into the shadowy corners of the room with ears alert. When the neighborhood became quiet, a sequence of deep, sorrowful howls would rise from its depths. These weren't the cheerful yips of a puppy or the typical barking of a dog. They were profound, guttural noises that appeared to arise from the very core of the wild. Curious yet somewhat anxious, Luke shifted to his blog, a simple site originally centered around his coding endeavors and weekend hiking trips. At 30 years old, the software developer began documenting Storm's actions, posting videos and thorough observations, in addition to his usual updates. A specific post named, "Is my puppy not a puppy?" caught the eye of his followers right away, generating a surge of curiosity and interaction. Reactions arrived promptly, ranging from playful doubt to real concern. Blog readers inundated the site with theories, with some proposing that Storm could be a unique breed, a wolf-dog mix, or maybe even an unusual species. The dialogue expanded as nearby animal enthusiasts and specialists contributed their thoughts. Several observed Storm's increased vigilance and nighttime howling as indications that it might possess a feral heritage. Some suggested more creative concepts, putting forth that Luke might have stumbled upon a creature seldom seen in the suburban wilderness of North Carolina. Luke's inquisitiveness transformed into a determination to reveal the truth. His updates became increasingly common and thorough, with every new action carefully recorded and disseminated. Storm's dislike for usual dog traits, its distinct sounds, and its intense attention to its environment turned into popular discussions among Luke's growing audience. The blog, which used to be a tranquil spot online, had transformed into a lively center of discussion and intrigue. As the weekend transitioned into a new week, the enigma surrounding Storm's real essence grew stronger, pushing Luke to pursue the next sensible action. He required expert advice. Following days of relentless online rumors and his own increasing discomfort, Luke concluded it was time for another effort to see the vet. Feeling a blend of nervousness and enthusiasm, he arranged an appointment to meet Dr. Peterson, optimistic that he would at last receive some clarity. He had no idea that this visit would completely disrupt his peaceful suburban life and launch him into an unforeseen adventure. Upon their arrival, the clinic was lively with the typical mix of suburban pet issues: a limping Labrador, a cat hissing from its crate, and a group of anxious owners. Luke sensed the tightness of anxiety and excitement gnawing in his stomach. He gripped Storm's leash tighter as they stepped into the waiting room. Storm's arrival immediately drew unusual looks. A woman with 2 dogs whispered something hurriedly to her partner, discreetly pointing at Luke and Storm. Her large eyes revealed a blend of fascination and potential worry. The companion, a burly man with a serene golden retriever, examined Storm for a moment, but swiftly shifted his gaze away when Luke caught him looking. As their wait continued, Luke sensed the burden of each gaze, the whispered theories contributing to his own chaotic reflections. Was Storm truly just an uncommon type or something beyond that? Every whisper appeared to resonate with his uncertainties, heightening the surreal quality of the previous week. At last, their number was announced. As they neared the examination room, Storm tensed up, its body stiffening. Luke comforted it with a soft pat. But just as they approached the door, Storm's survival instincts activated. With a sudden strong tug, it broke free from Luke's hold and raced off. Disorder broke out in the waiting room. The Labrador howled loudly, the cat yowled from its crate, and children shrieked as Storm darted between the chair legs and surprised patients. Luke's heart pounded as he shouted, running after the streak of fur that was Storm. The veterinary assistant, a sharp-witted young man named Jake, raced after them. The pursuit culminated when Jake trapped Storm in a storage area filled with pet products. Breathing hard, Luke and Jake finally succeeded in subduing Storm, whose wide, panicked eyes and struggling breaths showed its absolute fear. As they returned to the examination room, Luke continuously apologized to the other pet owners, his expression reflecting a blend of profound embarrassment and authentic concern. Inside the veterinary clinic, Dr. Peterson waited with an arched eyebrow and a calm demeanor. "Rather lively, isn't it?" Dr. Peterson remarked as he gently closed the door behind them. The room fell silent, except for the noise of Storm's heavy breathing, now securely held by Jake. Luke nodded, his worried eyes locking onto the vet's knowledgeable gaze, brimming with inquiries and yearning for clarity. While Dr. Peterson was swapping gloves to start the examination, Luke's thoughts raced with the potential outcomes ahead. Could this finally be the turning point regarding Storm's true identity? Dr. Peterson, an experienced veterinarian with many years in the field, approached Storm with a blend of professional interest and carefulness. He began by feeling Storm's abdomen, his hands gliding skillfully but softly across the animal's body. Storm stayed strangely obedient, its eyes scanning the room, absorbing every detail. From time to time, inquisitive faces materialized at the clear window that overlooked the waiting area, attracted by the previous disturbance. As Dr. Peterson examined Storm's teeth by opening its mouth, his forehead creased. The teeth resembled those of no household dog he had ever attended to. They were sharper and more prominent, characteristic of a meat-eating predator, not suited for a suburban dwelling. The veterinarian's demeanor changed distinctly, moving from clinical interest to a trace of discomfort. He stepped back, his eyes growing larger as the importance of his findings started to sink in. Dr. Peterson's expression showed both worry and curiosity as he began to pose questions, starting with standard ones but becoming more specific as he reviewed his notes. "What is the name of the animal?" he inquired, his eyes keen above the edge of his spectacles. "Where did you discover it? How long have you possessed him? Is this your first time taking him to the vet?" Luke replied, explaining how he discovered Storm after the storm, believing it was a stray puppy. With every response, Dr. Peterson's eyebrows lifted further, his movements intensified, and the ambiance became charged with urgency. Following a flurry of questions, he glanced at his assistant Jake, shook his head in astonishment, and revealed the shocking news. "Apologies for the disruption, but this isn't a puppy," Dr. Peterson declared, his tone heavy with gravity. "You've brought in a baby hyena. Imagine thinking you're saving a puppy, only to discover you've welcomed a predator into your home. How would you react?" Peterson, realizing the panic his outburst may have triggered, swiftly attempted to regain command of the situation. He faced Luke, speaking in a calmer tone now. "I realize this is rather surprising, but you've introduced a young spotted hyena. It's quite uncommon to encounter them here, and we must approach this with caution." The disclosure appeared unlikely. Storm's presence had not quickly disclosed its genuine nature, probably because of its extreme malnourishment. Furthermore, its fur design had an odd similarity to that of a Chihuahua, though somewhat different, a misleading feature that concealed its usual hyena traits. The veterinarian further elaborated on the consequences. Hyenas were not only uncommon, but also possibly hazardous, and they were definitely unsuitable for a home environment. They needed tailored care and settings that could accommodate their wild instincts and requirements. While Dr. Peterson organized prompt communication with animal control and a nearby wildlife sanctuary, the room came alive with a different sort of energy. Recognizing the necessity for prompt and safe management, Dr. Peterson quietly told Jake to get a cage ready. "Ensure it's roomy and cozy," he murmured, making sure their approach was both cautious and kind. Luke, observing these preparations, voiced his worries regarding the seemingly severe actions taken against Storm, who had exhibited no hostility. Dr. Peterson gently put a comforting hand on Luke's shoulder. Subscribe now, give this video a like, and share your thoughts in the comments. And hey, hit that notification bell so you can be the first to dive into our next mind-blowing story. "I recognize your worries, Luke," Dr. Peterson said soothingly, "but this isn't about retribution. Hyenas are untamed creatures, and although Storm hasn't shown hostility, we must emphasize both safety and his welfare. The cage is merely a safety measure to make sure that everyone, including Storm, stays protected until we can move him to a setting that is more appropriate for his instincts." Dr. Peterson explained that hyenas, even when young, can be erratic and possibly hazardous, especially in unfamiliar or stressful settings, such as a veterinary clinic. He indicated the large cage set up for Storm, created with amenities to soothe the animal, while keeping the clinic staff and other animals safe. This thoughtful and deliberate method gave Luke a sense of comfort as he worked through the shocking discovery. Dr. Peterson's calm proficiency assisted in stabilizing Luke's early disbelief, providing a straightforward plan for addressing the unusual and unexpected circumstance. The ambiance in the room transformed into a concentrated tranquility as measures were taken to securely hold Storm for the time being, while coordinating his move to a more suitable habitat for a wild creature of his species. As Jake gently moved Storm in his freshly set up cage to a calmer room far from the clinic's bustle, Luke observed with a heavy heart. The image of Storm's large, mournful eyes, gazing through the bars, awakened a feeling of guilt in him. He felt a sense of responsibility for Storm's situation, despite understanding that this was the required decision. Alone with Storm, in the softly lit isolation room, Luke experienced the heaviness of the day's revelations. Even with the surprising twist of fate, he recognized that since the day he took Storm in, everything had always seemed different. This was not solely about saving what he believed to be a lost puppy. It was about the connection that had started to develop between them. A bond that surpassed Storm's untamed spirit as they awaited the arrival of the wildlife specialists to take Storm into their custody. The young hyena appeared sensitive to Luke's conflicting feelings. Softly, Storm inched toward the side of the cage that was closest to where Luke sat. Unsure yet optimistic, Luke reached forward, stretching his hand out to the creature. Storm showed appreciation and bid farewell by gently licking Luke's finger and softly nudging his head against Luke's hand. In that fleeting instant, they experienced a deep connection, capturing the relationship they had built during their short time spent together. Observing Storm now resting more peacefully in the cage, looking less scared and more relaxed, Luke experienced a strong conviction that he was making the correct choice. This moment of understanding provided him with a calm feeling of tranquility, recognizing that he had contributed to assisting a wild animal that had unexpectedly impacted his life. Did you find this story enjoyable? Would you have also allowed Storm to escape as Luke did? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed the story, consider subscribing to this channel and giving a thumbs up. While saying goodbye to Storm, Luke realized the significance of recognizing and valuing wild animals. I greatly appreciate you taking the time to listen, and this is just the beginning. Our next story will challenge everything you know about loyalty and survival. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Did this story touch your heart? Imagine how many lives we can impact together. Hit the subscribe button, give a like to show your support, and ring the notification bell so you never miss another moment of wonder. Don't forget to comment your thoughts. Every comment is a step towards spreading hope.